In the story of America's long and painful struggle for equality, few names echo as powerfully as Malcolm X. He was a man born into a world that tried to silence him, yet his voice would shake the very foundations of a nation. This is the story of Malcolm X, the rise of a man who refused to bow, who transformed from a street hustler to one of the most powerful voices of black liberation in the 20th century. Malcolm Little was born on May 19, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska. His father, Earl Little, was a proud Baptist preacher and a follower of Marcus Garvey, a man who preached self-reliance and pride in African heritage. His mother, Louise, was strong, educated, and deeply committed to family. But America in the 1920s was not kind to a black family that stood tall. The Littles faced constant harassment from white supremacists. Their home was burned down. When Malcolm was just 6 years old, his father was found dead, crushed under a streetcar. The police called it an accident, but the family knew the truth. It was murder. After his father's death, Malcolm's mother suffered a breakdown and was sent to a mental institution. The children were scattered to foster homes. Malcolm's life was shattered, yet the fire of resistance was born. In his teenage years, Malcolm moved to Boston and then Harlem, cities alive with music, style, and struggle. He became known as Detroit Red, sharp-dressed, street-smart, and fearless. He hustled, gambled, and lived fast. But his choices led him to prison in 1946, at just 21 years old. Behind those cold prison walls, Malcolm's mind began to change. He devoured books, learning history, philosophy, and religion. He discovered a new sense of purpose through the teachings of Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, who preached that the black man must awaken, reject white oppression, and rebuild his own destiny. By the time Malcolm left prison in 1952, he was reborn. No longer Malcolm Little, but Malcolm X. The X stood for the unknown name of his African ancestors, a rejection of slavery's legacy. Malcolm X rose quickly within the Nation of Islam. His sharp intellect, fierce energy, and magnetic oratory drew thousands. He spoke with precision, fire, and truth. He told black Americans to stop waiting for freedom, to claim it. He declared, "You can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom." To many, he was a beacon of strength. To others, a dangerous radical. But Malcolm didn't care about pleasing the powerful. He cared about waking the oppressed. By the late 1950s and early 1960s, his speeches were drawing nationwide attention. He challenged not only white America, but also the soft approach of some civil rights leaders. While others preached nonviolence, Malcolm preached self-defense. He said, "Be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone, but if someone puts his hand on you, send him to the cemetery." As Malcolm's fame grew, so did tensions inside the Nation of Islam. He began questioning the leadership and moral conduct of Elijah Muhammad. In 1963, after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, Malcolm made a controversial remark, calling it a case of chickens coming home to roost. The nation silenced him. Soon he left the organization entirely. But this was not the end. It was transformation. Malcolm embarked on a journey to Mecca in 1964, the pilgrimage that changed his life. In Mecca, he saw Muslims of all races, white, black, brown, praying together as equals. He wrote home saying, "I have met blonde-haired, blue-eyed men I can call my brothers." He returned to America with a new vision, one of global unity and human rights. He was no longer just a black nationalist. He had become an international voice for justice. He began building new organizations, including the Organization of Afro-American Unity, OAAU, inspired by African independence movements. But his growing independence made him many enemies. He was under surveillance by the FBI. He faced death threats from within the Nation of Islam. Still, he refused to hide. On February 21, 1965, Malcolm X stood before an audience at the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem. He was preparing to speak, and then when gunfire erupted, Malcolm was struck multiple times. He died at the age of 39. The crowd screamed, the world fell silent, and a legend was born. Though Malcolm X's life was cut short, his voice has never faded. He taught generations to stand tall, to think critically, to know their worth, and to fight for dignity. He showed that transformation is possible, that even the broken can rise and lead. His words still ring true in the struggle for equality across the world. In classrooms, protests, and films, Malcolm's legacy continues to challenge systems of oppression. He once said, "If you're not ready to die for it, put the word freedom out of your vocabulary." Malcolm X forced America to look at itself, and what he revealed changed history. He was not a saint nor a villain, but a man of truth and evolution. From pain to purpose, from anger to enlightenment, Malcolm X became more than a name. He became an idea. The idea that no matter who you are or where you come from, you have the power to rise, to think, and to transform the world around you. If you found inspiration in this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Legacy Thread, where we bring you the stories of history's greatest voices that changed the world.